Before well-known adventurers had made a name for themselves, and kingdoms had borders, there were places, cities that bent history around them, harbors where coin ruled, sanctums where books were passports, cavern realms where a spider queen sat behind every smile. Tonight, we walk the streets of Faerûn's most legendary cities, from Waterdeep's masked politics to the frozen lights of 10 towns, and see how each vista shaped and continues to shape the forgotten realms. We begin our journey from a harbour ruled by masked lords, chase black sails past a fallen tower of mages, and follow hell chains that once dragged a holy city to another dimension. When silver bridges sing and spice markets roar, you'll know the map has revealed another legend. On the western edge of Faerûn, a deep natural harbour meets a black-shouldered mountain. Terraced streets step down toward the piers. Patrol horns answer from the walls. Chandlers, sailors and magistrates share the same crowded air. This is Waterdeep, the city of splendours, famous not for kindness, but for order. The city's government is deliberate by design, a public open lord balanced by a masked council whose identities are magically hidden, so bribery and threats have nowhere obvious to land. In the current era, Laeral Silverhand holds the open seat, while Waterdeep's masked mechanism remains the spine of civic stability. Waterdeep posts and enforces a code legal, a proper list of crimes and punishments. Assaulting or impersonating a lord, death. Bribery of an official, exile up to 20 years and fines. It's not flavor text. It's how the city keeps spellcasters, sellswords and guilds from turning the streets into a battlefield. Expect the City Watch and City Guard to cite chapter and verse. Magic here has offices. From Blackstaff Tower, the city's archmage oversees Waterdeep's arcane obligations. In the modern day, that's Vajra Safar, who also directs Force Grey, a small cadre used when uniforms and writs won't do. The tone, spelled out across Waterdeep's 5th edition materials, is civic wizardry in service to law, not above it. And then there's the exception everyone knows, the yawning portal. In the castle ward, Durnan's floor opens to a stone shaft that descends into Undermountain. Hallister Blackcloak's impossible, multi-level laboratory of monsters, traps, gates, and lost empires. Dungeon of the Mad Mage presents 20+ levels of that sprawl and uses Waterdeep as the surface home base, exactly as the city's lore suggests. Factions make the place breathe. Harpers, Zentarim, the Xanathar crime syndicate, Bregan Diather, and the watchful order of magists and protectors. The 5th edition, Urban Caper Dragon Heist, is the best play window into those moving parts. Seasonal masterminds, ward-by-ward chases, and the code legal in action. Waterdeep is where the realms proves a metropolis can welcome adventurers and survive them in lore and ledger as much as in steel. Mist clings to the Chionthar as 3 cities share one name, the walled upper city of Patriar Estates, the crowded lower city pressed against the docks, and the sprawling outer city beyond the gates. Commerce hums, gossip sells by the stanza, and disputes settle under the hard gaze of the flaming fist. Mercenaries who act like constables, because here they are. Shipyards smell of pitch. Counting houses never sleep. Deals are quick, loyalty's conditional, and every alley can flip from opportunity to trouble in a breath. In Baldur's Gate, survival is a craft, and profit is a virtue. Baldur's Gate smells of wet rope and opportunity. The upper city sits behind clean walls and clipped hedges. Lantern bearers glide past guarded villas, while stewards deliver sealed letters that change lives with a wax stamp. Down the slope, the lower city works by the bell. Fishmongers, chandlers, and carters bargaining under tar-stained awnings, while the outer city sprawls beyond the gates in a maze of workshops, hostels, and stubborn, hungry enterprise. Holding these layers together, for better or worse, are the Flaming Fist, mercenary constables who patrol like they own the street, because in practice, they often do. Power here isn't polite, it's negotiated. Patriarch families in the upper city trade favors and futures, while guild captains in the lower city trade cargo and secrets. Even the city's faiths preach with a hand on the ledger, because at the gate, prosperity is policy, and when policy fails, the fist knocks on doors. Recent history put a scar across pride. Elturel fell, ripped from the world and dragged toward the hells, sending refugees and rumors pouring into the gate. That shockwave turns dockside arguments into infernal echoes, and every oath sounds like a contract someone might try to collect. If you want the Baldur's Gate portion of your story to bite, start where the city likes to sing. In the Elf Song Tavern, a voice with no body drifts above the candles, and a flaming fist officer slides a job across the table. Murders, cult symbols, too many bodies for coincidence. The trail points to a respectable bathhouse with doors that open the wrong way, down. In the tunnels beneath, steel scrapes stone, and prayers are whispered to Bane, Baal, and Mirkul. Each shrine feels different: discipline, slaughter, rot, and every corridor writes a new name in your notebook. When you climb back to the surface, the letters on your tongue spell Vantampur, and the city suddenly looks uphill. On the river under Mount Hotenau, scaffolds and gardens share the skyline. Neverwinter works at being better than yesterday. Bridges relaid, wards replanned, charters inked to balance guilds, guard, and citizens. You'll hear hammers and civic debates in equal measure. The Hall of Justice anchors public life. Artisans keep the City of Skilled Hands nickname honest. Scars from the eruption remain, but so do the plans to outgrow them. Politics is carpentry here. Every choice sets the grain for what stands tomorrow. If cities could swear oaths, Neverwinter would swear to rebuild. After the eruption of Mount Hotenau shattered neighborhoods and history, the Jewel of the North put up braces, wrote charters, and went back to work. Ward by ward, ash and ambition reshape the streets. Who controls which bridges, which districts get the first repairs, where simmering threats, Thayan plots, Netherese schemes, ancient spirits test the promise of order. Dagult, Neverember, as Lord Protector, nailed together councils, patrols, and rebuilding plans that made as many enemies as allies. His name still starts arguments from the docks to the Hall of Justice. Meanwhile, new factions rise in the cracks: relic hunters, cult cells, and local powers deciding whether the future belongs to reformers or to a memory of what Neverwinter used to be. The city is a sandbox of choice-driven problems, where every fight is also a vote for the kind of city your party leaves behind. Seawind and Lampoil greet you at the Lion's Way Gate, where admission is paid in a book Candlekeep does not yet possess. Inside the Ring of Towers, the avowed catalogue, preserve and protect, quietly firm about rules that keep tomes and tempers intact. Scribes trade citations like coins. Visiting sages barter reading rights for favors, and every volume might be a doorway to a riddle, a ruin, or a realm. Candlekeep is scholarship made stone. At Candlekeep, coin has no weight. To cross the gate, you bring knowledge, a unique volume for the collection. Inside, cloisters and reading halls breathe vellum and patience. The keep's strength is neutral ground. Sages and sellswords share benches. Rival faiths debate in the courtyard and break bread in the kitchens. The rules, no threats, no theft, no damage to the collection, are law with quiet teeth. Violations are met with calm efficiency and a very short walk to the gate. Use Candlekeep as a narrative hub for case file quests. Start in the stacks, end in ruins or on plainer backroads, with the politics of who gets to read which page lingering in the margins. Beyond the spine of the world, 10 towns huddle around frozen lakes where knucklehead trout and stubborn habit keep people alive. Auroras scrape the sky. Sled dogs and snowshoes outnumber horses. Each town, Bryn Shander, East Haven and the rest, has a reason to be here and a way to argue about it. Winters test bargains as much as bodies. A shared pot and a locked door are sacred oaths. In Icewind Dale, resources are morals. Light, heat, food and trust are the currencies that decide who sees spring. In Icewind Dale, survival is a group project. 10 settlements cling to lake ice, each with a reason to exist and a grudge to nurse. The region plays as survival horror and wonder. Cold economics, thin trust, and the merciless attention of Auril the Frost Maiden. 10 towns are presented one by one, then you're sent across the tundra to decide who eats, who freezes, and which secrets are worth a night outside the firelight. The Dale's magic is atmospheric. Auroras are omens. It's a game where resource decisions are moral decisions. Light, heat, food, and trust. Deep in the Underdark, a vast cavern blooms with obsidian towers and bridges like webs. Houses rise and fall by blade, poison and prayer, while priestesses of Lolth set the weather of power. Arak Tinilith, Sorcerer, and Melee Magther train tomorrow's loyalists and rivals. Etiquette keeps murder from becoming a civic pastime. Every courtesy has an edge, every alliance an hourglass. Here, piety is policy, and mercy is an act of rebellion with a price. Menzoberranzan is a cathedral of ambition, carved in obsidian and malice. The houses climb or fall by treachery, measured in heartbeats. The priesthood sets the rhythm. The academies produce tomorrow's betrayers. Even murder has a form to keep the city from eating itself in one night. Run whole campaigns here. Intrigue arcs where progress is measured in alliances survived and rivals erased, with the North Dark and surface politics threading through every plot. The city proves a single truth. Conscience is expensive underground and priceless when it appears. Menzoberranzan proves a city can sanctify cruelty, which is why every kind act there is revolutionary. Where the Mirror meets the Sea of Swords, Black Flag pragmatism rules. Luskan is rigging creek and gull cry, rope walks and shipwright yards, and a harbour that never learned to blush. The high captains, the ship rulers, run the streets like decks, while the arcane brotherhood watches from the host tower. Rebuilt or ruined, its shadow still falls on every deal. Smuggling is a trade, raiding a habit, and maps are suggestions. If Waterdeep is law's handshake, Luskan is opportunity's grin. Luskan is a port built for motion. The channels are narrow, the tide's tricky, and that's exactly how locals like it. Strangers pay pilots, or pay in hull planks. 5 ships, power blocks named for their captains, slice the city into territories, wharves, counting houses, and taxes collected with a smile sharp enough to cut sailcloth. You'll hear shipwright mallets by day and contraband winches by night. Contracts are short, knives are long, and the city watch knows when to look away because everyone knows who truly keeps order. The captains who can muster a pier's worth of steel on short notice. On the bluff, the host tower of the Arcane holds court. Whether recruiting apprentices, bargaining for artifacts, or advising captains, the Arcane Brotherhood is Luskan's weather. Unpredictable, influential, and best watched from cover. A quiet word from a host tower mage can move cargo faster than a tailwind, or sink it without leaving ripples. When you need plot engines, use the Brotherhood as the spark, a charter, a curse, a missing grimoire, and the High Captains as the pressure, fees, favors, or escorts you didn't ask for. Neighborhoods are honest about their sins. Dockside inns don't ask questions. Chandlers sell salted manifests along with lamp oil, and rope walk foremen know which warehouse doors open for coin and which open for fire. Adventurers can thrive here if they learn to speak the city's language. Pay your pilots, don't stiff your stevedores, and remember that in Luskan, a promise is collateral. For campaign texture, pair the bustle of the piers with sea arcs, raids on uncharted coves, parley with privateers whose letters of marque were inked in bad faith, and expeditions west into weather that swallows names. Luskan is audacity with anchors. If you can keep your footing, you can keep the fortune. Once, a second sun, the companion, burned over Elturel, casting bright order across fields and faith. Hell riders rode out under that light, and oaths were spoken with both hands on the hilt. Then came the revelation and the fall, chains, ash, and a lesson about bargains written too neatly. In the aftermath, chapels ring softer, and leaders choose their words with care. Elturel still believes in duty, but now it reads the fine print first. Elturel was the poster city for righteousness, orderly boulevards, vigilant patrols, and the miracle light that turned midnight into noonday. That light was the companion. The truth that the city's salvation was an infernal contract tore the skyline open. Chains dragged Elturel toward Avernus. Faith cracked like plaster, and the heroism that followed stopped being theoretical. Some stayed and fought. Some fell and rose again. All of them learned that even the holiest vows can be forged into shackles if you let pride hold the quench. Back on the surface, if your timeline restores the city, Elturel is rebuilding with caution. The High Hall still hears petitions. The Hell Riders still ride. But every oath is now double read, and every miracle is tested for edges. Refugees return to find neighborhoods split by memory. Who signed what, who knew what, and who kept the lanterns lit when the sky went red. These fractures are rich soil for stories, contrition arcs, truth and reconciliation quests, and the simple, stubborn work of repairing bridges you can't see from the cathedral steps. Use Elturel as the stage for consequence. Cults of necessary evil preach that safety and freedom can share a leash. Merchants hedge bets with discreet sigils stitched where only devils read. Your party becomes the fulcrum, Do they erase the past to keep the peace, expose it and risk new fires, or walk the narrow line where mercy and memory share the same bench? For adventure hooks, let the companion's after-image linger, strange sunburns that form sigils, temple bells that ring at the wrong hour, Hell Rider testaments that contradict official chronicles. Somewhere beneath the city, an old chain still hums, and someone is listening for the note. Elturel is duty with scars. Its light shines better now that it knows what shadows cost. Moonlight glazes Riverstone as wards glimmer across graceful streets. Silverymoon is artistry with a shield, concert halls, libraries, and the famed Moonbridge standing beside vigilant spell wards and trained defenders. Long guided by wise hands, illustrial foremost, the city treats learning and beauty as civic armor. Markets run on courtesy as much as coin, and visiting mages behave because the walls are polite, not unprepared. In the north, Silverymoon proves civilization can be luminous and still hold. Silverymoon is culture made durable. Bards perform beneath ward lamps that never gutter. Scholars debate in the vault of the sages, while watchmages test the city's lattices with disciplined ritual. The shining Moonbridge, solid light arching the Rauvan, is both symbol and checkpoint. Artistry you can walk across, and security you can't see until you try to break it. The city's traditions were shaped by patient governance, notably Illustrial Silverhand, and refined by councils who believe prevention is kinder and cheaper than triage. Here, magic is civic infrastructure, alarms that hum underfoot, mythal-like warding woven into public spaces, and a mutual understanding that spellcasters earn their freedom by respecting their neighbors' sleep. Visitors learn quickly. You can carry steel, but leave your ego at the gate. Politically, Silverymoon is the North's gentle counter-argument to fear. Where other towns hoard candles, Silverymoon lights schools. Where others build walls first, Silverymoon builds bridges, literal and social, then wards them so well that brigands stop trying. It once helped lead broader alliances in the north. Even when banners change, the habit of coalition-minded thinking remains. This makes Silverymoon a superb hub for campaigns about diplomacy, discovery, and defense without cruelty. On the ground, play contrasts, music and markets by day, patrols and quiet spell checks by night. Let the wards be characters, whispering warnings, revealing footprints in moon-pale tracery, or refusing to open for an out-of-tune lie. When threats come, they're often subtle. Saboteurs posing as students, cursed artwork hung where it can listen, or an invited delegation carrying a sleeping hex in its anthem. Heat rises off Calimport in waves, minarets, spice markets, and 1,000 courts where wealth and age write their own rules. Power moves through households and guilds, down alleys mapped by rumor, under palaces that remember genie lords and the empires they unmade. Bargains are layered, public terms, private riders, unspoken expectations. The sun is relentless, so are the intrigues. Here, commerce is the language, etiquette the armor, and yesterday's dynasty is never as gone as people say. Calimport is a city that never finished its sentence. Every district, market sabs, artisan quarters, merchant compounds, adds a clause, a rider, a footnote. Deals here are stories with signatures. The air smells of cardamom, ink, and hot stone. Scribes draft agreements in shaded arcades, while water sellers chant prices, and Mamluk guards watch from doorways that know more secrets than their hinges admit. History is visible. Walk a block, and the street names shift with dynasties. Follow a staircase, and you'll find old foundations older than your gods, carved when Jinn and Efreet played tug-of-war with the wind itself. Those legacies persist, artifacts that won't serve unworthy hands, contracts that bind the heirs of signers long to dust, and pockets of weather that refuse to behave because a genie's temper once set the pattern. Power is a network, not a crown. Pashas host salons where poetry and policy share cushions. Guildmasters rule at ledgers. Priesthoods moderate with a tact born of long memory. Everyone owes someone, coin, face, or silence. And a clever player can turn social credit into real coin faster than a caravan can cross the marching mountains. That makes Calimport perfect for political thrillers, rival syndicates bribing the same archivist, inheritance cases that wake sleeping curses, or trade wars fought with embargoes at noon and daggers at midnight. For adventure, let the city sprawl down as well as out, catacombs full of sealed rooms that open when the right proverb is spoken, cisterns tiled with maps that only reveal under moonwater, relics that test owners with riddles phrased in elemental grammar. Above ground, play out courtly chess, invitations that are as binding as contracts, festivals where masks hide dynastic audits, and markets where the loudest stall is a decoy for the quietest ledger. Calimport is etiquette with edges. If you can read the room, you can rule the board. That concludes our quest for the most iconic cities in Faerûn. Maps tell you where, stories tell you why. Faerûn rewards the curious. Turn the corner and the world opens. Guild signs become invitations. Temple bells become warnings. And every tavern rumor is a door with a different lock. But wonder walks with risk. The code legal bites if you mistake chaos for charm. The flaming fist doesn't negotiate twice. Undermountain is deeper than your rope. Aurel's night is longer than your torch. Lolth's smiles come with strings. The host tower charges interest you can't count. Infernal contracts read beautifully, and bind beautifully too. Wards in the north are polite, not soft. And in the shining sea's heat, a handshake may carry more blades than fingers. So pack light and think long. Bring rations, chalk, and 2 plans. Pay pilots, tip porters, and read the fine print twice. Trust the quiet person who knows the back door and the book that shouldn't exist. Let places be characters and listen when they speak. If you go, go for the right reasons. Curiosity, courage, and good company. May Saloon lend you light when the road forgets it. And may a coin from Tymora land on the side you need most. To every delver, scholar, sailor, and scoundrel watching, good luck. Keep your blade sharp, your questions sharper, and your promises the sharpest of all. The realms are waiting. Go find them.